As our hormones begin to shift, whether we have had children, we're postmenopausal, perimenopause, during menopause, it's a natural signaling that gets quieter. And these prescription peptides turn down the volume. They help you control your metabolism and they make you feel full quicker. Welcome to the Women of Fort Mill podcast. This is Kelly Hoover, and today's episode is part 2 of a 3-part series that I am sharing. If you have not listened to part 1, head back to last week's episode where we talked all about Peptides 101. So Leah is not on this series. She is going to be featured with her expertise, her zone of genius, in a 3-part series as well. We are so excited to bring this. We get so many questions about what we do and what is our day job and all of those things that we decided to bring all the questions to you in the most frequently asked things. So today's part 2 episode of Women of Fort Mill podcast is all about weight loss, energy, confidence, specifically those of us that are raising kids, maybe in midlife. We're going to dive into GLP-1s and GIP weight loss and talk about how they actually work. So one of the things I will promise to do is be in plain English science, talk about the real world results and how women are getting their bandwidth back and truly having results with peptides. Because I know sometimes I can get a little too sciencey, but I promise not to do that on today's episode. So the very first thing is let's talk about what GLP-1s and GIPs do. So very plain English, GLP-1s, what are they? It's a natural hormone that helps your body self-regulate. It increases insulin when needed. It reduces glucagon. It slows stomach emptying and it turns down that appetite. That's why people, when they're taking GLP-1, they feel fuller and they graze less throughout the day. Now, what is GIP? This is another natural hormone released after meals. It's a dual agonist. So you would have heard this in tirzepatide. So by activating GIP with GLP-1, it appears to amplify glucose control and it definitely helps with weight. So these peptides, I want you to think of them as those friendly text messages to your brain, to your gut. It says, hey, slow down your hunger, steady your energy, less grazing. It turns off of those things. And why are they so important for women? So as our hormones begin to shift, whether we have had children, we're postmenopausal, perimenopause, during menopause, it's a natural signaling that gets quieter. And these prescription peptides turn down the volume. They help you control your metabolism and they make you feel full quicker. So let's talk a little bit about GLP-1 versus the dual agonist, which is GLP-1 and GIP. And we're going to dive in a little bit specifically for weight loss. This is a lot of people. If you are currently or you have been on one of these peptides or you know someone who has, you've probably seen great results from them. But a lot of times people are like, well, what's the difference between semaglutide, GLP-1 peptide, and tirzepatide, which is a dual agonist, GLP-1 and GIP? So the semaglutide GLP-1, I want to give you a little bit of data behind it. I know I'm going to keep it straight English, but just a little bit of clinical research because that is what I love. In adults without diabetes, okay, we're talking about people who do not have diabetes, weekly semaglutide or a GLP-1, and in this clinical trial specifically, it was 2.4 milligrams. It led to 15% weight loss. It also reduced major cardiovascular events in people with overweight and obesity without diabetes. Without. That is huge. Now let's talk about tirzepatide, which is the dual agonist, GLP-1 and GIP. It was shown to reduce 15 to 21% average weight across 72 weeks. So that is over a year. And this again is without diabetes. So the key takeaway is both are very effective. The dual agonist, the tirzepatide, GLP-1 GIP, often produces more weight loss with less potential side effects. But obviously, individual people matter, and it can be a different fit for different people. So let's dive into the energy focus and that food noise conversation. Personally, I didn't even know what food noise was until I didn't have it in my body anymore. And it's very strange. I realized that I am a procrastination eater. I'm a stress eater. I'm an emotional eater. And when I stopped having those urges because I was on a weight loss peptide, it was fascinating to really dig into the emotional reasons why I was just grazing and eating when I felt stressed or I felt emotional. I didn't need to do that. I had been doing it most of my adult life, and I just never really had the ability, besides straight willpower, that I generally failed at. Many women report quieter cravings when they're on these products, fewer intrusive thoughts about food, and more control. So, all of this is also supported with a ton of emerging research showing that GLP-1s reduce cravings, shift your food preferences towards less energy dense foods. So think about it. Imagine if you had less chatter around food in your brain, more mental space for work, workouts, friends, being a mom, doing all of those things that you need. I have such relief from not having food noise anymore. Now, another question that people ask a lot about GLP-1s is microdosing. Kelly, what is microdosing? What does it even mean to people? Who takes it? What does it work? So microdosing, just the term, usually refers to lower than the standard dosage used to tap into appetite pathways, minimize side effects, or it can be used as like a step up strategy. There is evidence that is evolving all about microdosing these products in perimenopause symptoms, in cardiovascular events, in Alzheimer's and dementia, PCOS, a ton of inflammatory markers. Now, again, these should definitely be used with prescriptions and emphasizing the safety, but microdosing is a huge potential for people. And it basically, in layman's terms, just means you're taking less of the product. Now, I am going to get into the weeds here a little bit for all my nerdy science people who like to know things, because I don't want you to think I'm giving you this information without clinical data. Coming from the pharmaceutical world, also coming from the supplement world, I value data, specifically when you're using compounds. So let's talk a little bit beyond the scale, big clinical outcomes that we women would care about. So let's talk first about heart health. There is a trial out there called the SELECT trial. Now, this is with semaglutide in people with overweight or obesity without diabetes, okay? Without diabetes. This showed to have fewer major cardiovascular events versus placebo. So the translation to that is weight loss plus cardiometabolic benefits can protect your heart. You can find that in the New England Journal of Medicine. Another thing that is being heavily studied is kidney health. This trial is called the FLOW trial, FLOW. This was type 2 diabetes and CKD. Semaglutide reduced the risk of the important kidney outcomes and cardiovascular death. That can also be found in the New England Journal of Medicine. Now, here's a popular one that I have actually even had a lot of moms talk to me about their daughters, PCOS. So reviews and studies suggest that GLP-1s help with weight, metabolic markers, and cycle regularity alongside lifestyle or metformin. This clinical trial can be found in Public Med Central. Now, here's one reason that I love microdosing, and that is research surrounding brain health and dementia, early signals. So there's observational and meta-analysis data that suggests that GLP-1s may be associated with lower dementia risk. It's a hypothesis generating. There's not proof out there, but you can read about it in JAMA, JAMA. Also, dedicated Alzheimer's trials of semaglutide. The trials are EVOKE and EVOKE Plus. They are currently underway right now, and they are testing the disease-modifying effects. The results are still pending, but there is amazing potential for this. You can learn more about that in American Academy of Neurology. So basically, getting out of the weeds with this science, I want you to know that these things are not magic, but the benefits are the strongest when you pair them with protein-forward meals, movement, sleep, reduction of stress tools. There is some incredible, incredible benefits to this. Are they safe? What are the side effects? The most common side effects would be nausea and just feeling full. All you need to do is potentially talk to your doctor about the dose that you're on. There is ways to experience less nausea if you're having it. I know for myself personally, I had a handful of nausea episodes. I took nausea medicine that a lot of people take when they're pregnant called Zofran. And it truly helped me so much. It wasn't anything that was debilitating to me. Now, sometimes if people are taking a higher dose, that can happen. Side effects potentially can happen, but you always need to reach out to your healthcare professional. So, just a quick recap: GLP-1s and GIPs, they help regulate appetite and they signal your brain. It helps with weight loss, calmer your cravings, steadying your energy. Research truly backs weight outcomes, growing evidence for heart and kidney, and even possible brain benefits. All of this you can find in the show notes if you are looking for specific links. I will link all of the clinical research that I referenced in the show notes as well. Now, you may be thinking, if you are curious about how this looks for your life, maybe you're like, hey, I have some weight I want to lose. I have some energy I want to gain. I am really needing my confidence back. All you need to do is connect with me. I'd be happy to point you in the direction of some more research, some clinical information, or get you connected with the telehealth concierge platform that I currently order my peptides from. Now, I hope you enjoyed diving a little bit deeper into weight loss and energy with GLP-1s and GIPs in today's episode. Remember, this is just part 2 episode. So if you didn't listen to part 1, please head back over there. It's Peptides 101, and part 3 will be coming next week. If you love today's episode, please give us a follow over on Instagram, Women of Fort Mill Podcast. We would absolutely love to be able to connect with you. Share and follow this and sign up for our newsletter. And you can find that in the link in the bio. We will see you on another episode of Women of Fort Mill Podcast.